Some boy did like dirt.
All right.
What's up?
Back to another episode of In the Green Bets golf show. Wasn't our greatest showing last week at the Genesis. It was such a weird tournament. Neiman getting that far out in front, and Young for that matter was way out in front, and just kind of like holding on the weekend it brought your margin back in play, but like no one was ever going to catch him. Really, I mean, we had Vic lingering. I think he was third going into Sunday, finished fourth, but that was not wasn't just the outright side that went wrong for us.
No, everything went wrong besides Tringali. All praise Tringali at all times. But my best bet hit, but that was, the lonely highlight of the weekend for me. Everything else was in the red. But we'll be all right. We're going to bounce back this week. Good Honda tournament. And some guys in the field that have some value because they have just as much of a chance to win as some of those guys at the top.
Yeah, I managed a few derivatives, and I honestly, it was bad, but it could have been decent with Answer just choking away that matchup. A couple of guys, Henley, Finau, Sungjae all finished like tied for 30th, had top 20s on all of them. Yeah. Henley's was particularly bad. Xander missed the top 10 by like a shot. We were close at least I was close on some of those bets, and it could have been all right. But you have those weeks, 2 good weeks to start the year for both of us, 1 shitty week, and now we'll move on to Honda and try to bounce back a little.
I bet a matchup against Jon Rahm, and Jon Rahm finished like 25th, and I still lost.
It was his worst finish outside of that tournament in the fall where he missed that cut since like 15 months ago. So. Yeah, Cantlay really screwed us both for that matter. I had a top 10 and a matchup, I think, and you had a matchup and top 10. Not good. But nevertheless, we're moving on. Honda, PGA National. I've hit Sungjae here before, but over the years, this has been a stick your hand in a bag and draw somebody out type of winner. Yeah. Now, there have been a couple chalky ones. Rickie and JT both won. They were pretty chalky at that point, and Brooks. But at the time, like, there's been 2 or 3 300-1 winners in the last 10 years and some 60s, 80s, 90s guys like that. And now with the field even worse than I think it was 5-10 years ago, it's even more of a crapshoot. I mean, there is a few guys up top: Sungjae, Fleetwood, Berger, Louis, Neiman, Horschel, Brooks are all 20-1 or less. But this is a hard course, Florida course. Water's in play on 15 holes, I think. And then you got the Bear Trap. There's 3 super hard holes, 15, 16, 17 coming down the stretch that can ruin your weekend. But they also can they can make or break you. You can make birdies there and make up so much ground on the field. But the name of the game here is approach play. Greens are really hard to hit. Putting hasn't mattered too much over the years, but you're looking for those iron guys who can find a way to put it in the fairway.
Yeah, and I kind of like some of the bombers, not necessarily because they hit it off the tee so far, but that they can hit their irons far also, because you're going to have to lay back and be pretty precise, and you can't just be swinging crazy hybrids, woods, and drivers everywhere out there. Guys who can, hit little landing areas but at far distances with their irons, I think that could really help this week, especially with the water. I mean, you're going to have guys that you might have somebody in the hunt 3 minutes later, he's 4 back. Like it can happen so quick. And I think if you can just hit those, if you can stay dry, you have a chance. But it'll be one of those weeks where if you have, say you have 6 outrights and 3 of them make the cut, you're feeling decent. Like you're like, all right, well, I got some guys swimming still, not literally, hopefully, but you just have a chance because the ones that don't make it, it's just going to be part of it. It's just kind of this part of the tournament, and it doesn't matter. They pay out the same whether it's second or last. So you got to take it on the chin and just hope you get one that comes hitting on Sunday.
Yeah. It's one of the classic less than driver courses. It's so important to have angles in play from not the trees or the water off the tee that you just got to get it in play. So Like you look at average driving distance historically, it's way less than tour average because guys are taking less than driver off the tee. If you look at leaderboards, there's definitely been some bombers that have had success here. I think part of that is due to, hey, when they hit they don't have to hit 3-wood. They can hit a 2-iron or whatever, just to take a little less club, be a little bit more accurate, because everybody's playing to the same spot in a lot of these fairways. So if you're playing to 275 out, the bunters are probably hitting a little driver or a hard 3-wood, where some of these other guys can pump a 2-iron down there depending on how firm the fairways get. That is an advantage, 100% an advantage. But we've seen, just strictly approach and putting guys do well here too. We saw Danny McCarthy do good here last year. Mackenzie Hughes has been good here. So, like I said, it's a bit of a crapshoot, but and you'll see when we kind of go through the outright market here in a minute that we're gonna go down lower. I'm gonna take some shots deeper. I know that there's some good players at the top, and if they win, so be it. But the trends here are deeper shots for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a guy I'm going to mention later on, but Johnny Vegas is like a prime example of this, right? A guy who's just a ball striking long hitter who can feast here because he doesn't have to play, he can play a little safer, but still kind of play at those distances. So this is a course that kind of fits him well. And I think we're going to see that as some of these guys that we have coming up. Let's start at the top. We got Louis, Sungjae, Berger, Fleetwood at that price is kind of crazy, or at that number. I know. I've already used Sungjae in my one and done, so I won't be playing much of him at all this week, although obviously it's a great fit. Who are your thoughts of somebody here at the top? Would it maybe be Billy or even Brooks?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Sungjae, I think I just flipped through a few books. 13 is the best I saw. That's not playable in my opinion with how odd this field is.
Yeah.
If I was going to go up top, I'd take Brooks at 20, but just know that if he's kind of not playing that well on Thursday, Friday, the focus just isn't going to be there. And, I thought about Horschel headed in the week. I was like, if I can find 28 on Horschel, I think some people did find good numbers. I did not. That I would take him at 28 to 30. I cannot get Horschel right. He's just one of those guys. He absolutely screwed me at the Wyndham 2 years ago. It was freaking Jim Herman. He couldn't close out Jim fucking Herman. I can never get Horschel right. He pisses me off, so I'm not going there. The place that I started was Keith Mitchell at 35, and then I worked from there. Love Keith Mitchell for this course. Obviously, he won here, but he's one of those guys that can hit it pretty far and straight. Been playing some really good golf. Took a week off last week. Always want to play Keith Mitchell in the Southeast. He does good on Bermuda, good on these types of courses. Mitchell is one of the guys that I think you're going to start to see improve a little bit. I actually saw an interview with, what's his name? The Decade Golf guy, the guy who came up with the strategy Decade Golf stuff that we heard Zalatoris talking about using. Cannot think of his name right now. But apparently Keith Mitchell started working with him last fall, and that's really when he started playing some much better golf. It may be nothing, but that matters, and he's got a ton of talent, as he showed. He went toe to toe with Rickie and Brooks that year to win. But yeah, up top, less than 40. That's the only place that I went. Wolf, I guess, is interesting, but talk about a crapshoot.
Yeah, I think I want to mention Lowry here. Lowry in the top 10, and I think both of our models this week, and that's using in the last 36 rounds. He's over 100 ranking off the tee. I don't know where you have it right there, but you can probably see it. Yeah, he's 128 right there, it looks like. But if you go to his times that he's played here at Honda, 2016, he gained 2.7 off the tee. 2018, he gained 1. 2020, he gained 3.3. And then 2021, he was pretty much neutral. So there's something here where he can compete off the tee, and I like that because if you take those off the tee numbers out of his model, he'd be flirting with number 1 or number 2. So I think there's some value in him this week. I think he's going to have a chance to compete. I don't really hate that number either if that's somebody who you pick at the top in the 20s.
Yeah. I don't mind Shane Lowry, but he doesn't win enough. Yeah. I'd rather take Brooks and just hope that you catch one of Brooks's focus weeks, but You could do worse than Shane Lowry, certainly.
He hasn't played yet.
Moving,
This is his first time, so
he's played in desert with
right.
DP World Tour. He actually had a couple top 25s over there, so he's playing all right. But it's been a few weeks. As we move farther down the board, let's say 40 plus, there's our guy Mito. Everybody on golf Twitter is, everybody.
Crazy.
I mean, you got him at 55 to 60. I think if you bet him on Monday.
Yeah,
I love Mito. He won me some money last week in a week that I really desperately needed it, and he's good, but I just don't know that he's got super win upside. And definitely not at 40. I'll take my shots way farther down the board before I bet him at 40.
I don't like that Johnny Vegas number to win, but I like some of his derivatives this week. But the
Vegas number is bad.
Yeah, the number I do like here is that CBEZ. I think that's 50. I can't really tell from there, but
yep, I already bet him.
That CBEZ 50 is nice. A course where he doesn't have to, to try to compete with the length of other guys. He can hit back and he can just try to be comfortable off the tee. His around the green game is outrageous. We've seen it, so I think this is a course that he can compete at. We've actually bet him a few times on this show, so it's nothing new. But I think this is definitely a place where he can compete.
CBEZ is a guy that I've kind of been sweet on. I've bet him a few times, and he's done good for me. I'm notorious for saying that Matt Fitzpatrick is the best Bermuda putter on the planet. CBEZ is like in the top 10. He's just awesome Bermuda putter. Every time he shows up on Bermuda, he putts really well. We mentioned earlier this is not necessarily a tournament where like putting you have to putt well to win, but you can putt well. Like that's one way to skin this cat here is to just chip and putt your balls off and do it that way. But I took Wise at 50 also. He was like leading this tournament at 36 hole mark last year. He is, he fluctuates as much as anybody from week to week. He actually did have a nice run last fall. Maybe he'll find his form again a little bit. It's not been too great this spring, but the talent's there. He's a winner on tour. I took Cam Young.
Yeah,
I took Cam Young at 55. Just ride the hot streak. He does all the things you want for this type of golf course. Is he out of gas from last week? Maybe, but I'll take the chance that he's still running hot, and 55 is a pretty fair number.
I got the next two guys, which is funny. We're dabbling a lot in this area. So that we seems like we kind of think the winner's coming out of here, but I got KH Lee and Palmer on my card. So we got, that's like 5 or 6 guys just out of this group that we've talked about. KH Lee lost 4 strokes on approach last week and still hitting the top 30. He crushed it on the greens, but still his form is really, really good. He hasn't missed a cut since Sanderson in October. The one before that wasn't until July with multiple top 20s, top 30s in there. I think this is a course where he can compete at also. And if he can get his irons to really strike, then he'll for sure have a chance. I think he's made 2 of 3 cuts that he's played at this event. And he seems like a guy that would be there in the end. And then the other guy is Ryan Palmer. Obviously, the putting's not great, but his Bermuda putting is good, which is nice. And I believe his course history here is good too. Yeah, 17th, 4th, missed cut, and then a bunch of made cuts in a row, right in the top 30s, a second, 2014. I like his pedigree here. His putting is just going to kill you if it's red again. But if you can maybe hit that spike, let's look up some spikes of Ryan Palmer. He spiked at the Genesis in 2012, and I don't mean other Florida courses, but on here. Oh, the Honda in 2019, he gained 5.6. So he's got a little bit of spike in him, especially in on this course, which is nice. But I think that's a good number for Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, the next guy that I wanted to mention was Gary Woodland here at 66 on this site. Gary's form obviously is not amazing, but this is his Honda record. Some really, really good finishes. He's one of those like guys who hits it far, but like does really well on the courses where it doesn't matter. But that form, I'm gonna admit, is not great. Did pop a little approach play at Farmers, some decent putting the last couple of times, but I'll take the shot at 66. I'm not playing him any derivatives or anything like that. But if Gary Woodland, really brings it, he can definitely win this golf tournament. And then I hit Russell Knox there at 65. He's been playing some decent golf. He does kind of the things that I want to see for this course. He's popped twice here. I think he has 2 top 5s and 3 miscuts. So another guy to be careful with. Certainly there's a reason he's down this far, but He's like first in greens and regulation gained over the last 24 rounds. His approach play has been great. He has to find the putter for enough rounds to win.
What is the Higgs number? Is it near
the what?
Higgs.
Harry Higgs?
Yeah.
It's deeper than this.
Oh, well, I'll wait then. But there's a lot of good approach numbers coming from Harry Higgs.
Yeah, as we work our way down here, I hit Michael Thompson at 80. Anytime that Michael Thompson he wins random tournaments, his numbers kind of support this golf tournament. He has a couple decent finishes here, I think. Higo at 100, I hit. He's a winner on tour in the South on Bermuda. His approach numbers are pretty good. I thought about Aaron Rye at 100, but I just don't know that we have enough data to really go in on Aaron Rye. And then it gets kind of, the rest of these guys is just shots in the dark here. Well, one guy,
course history and some good iron play.
Really good course history. I bet Hudson Swaffer at 180 to 1 yesterday. If you check my model, where's our guy Swafford? 14th on my model, 3rd in approach, 1st in opportunities gained, 12th in tee to green. If you look at the history of this tournament, the winner has finished like top 3 in opportunity or in tee to green, strokes gained tee to green for like the last 5 years. Like that's like the key stat. And so Hudson being 12th in tee to green, he's flashed a little form. Obviously, he won earlier. I'll take my shot at 180. That's a super, super number.
Yeah, he just won not that long ago, right? Yeah.
Yep. One good finish at Honda, nothing crazy. He just won the Amex. So, yeah. Do you got anybody super deep bombs?
Yeah, Higgs was the only one. If you filter Higgs' best approach weeks ever, his best is Honda in last year at 8.1 strokes approach. And then you go down about 5 more events, and it's the Honda again from the previous year at 3.1 strokes.
Yeah, there's certainly something about this course for him.
Yeah, that he definitely likes. And I like the idea of kind of rolling off of that. He's made the cut of Genesis, made the cut of Phoenix. His play hasn't been great as far as the strokes gains numbers, but
it's not good.
Yeah, but the number's not bad for a guy who we've seen really compete with irons with some of the better players on tour. So, you just hope to hit that first one. And I think that if he does play well and bring it, it's going to be nice to have someone like him in the mix on Sunday at a 160.
Yeah. Let's move on to some derivatives. For me, last thought on outrights. Just find a few stats that you like. For me, it's strokes gained tee to green, it's approach, and it's guys who putt fast Bermuda. I've got some lists here. Seabez, Denny McCarthy, Billy Ho, Higo, all putt fast Bermuda well.
Billy.
Like I was mentioning earlier, tee to green. That's kind of what I'm going to do. And then just take some bombs because who the hell knows where the winner's coming from.
Yeah, I have a list here of ball strikers with difficult scoring. Neiman is obviously number 1 after his performance last week. Wolf, Johnny Vegas, Brooks, Wise, Rye. Yeah, Rye, Berger, Knox, Stanley, and Palmer. So those are some names we've already mentioned there. Knox will be one. He hits a lot of greens. He's been leading greens in regulation in the models for like 2 months now. So and he's finished 33 3 times in a row now. So that hopefully he can break that and get like 3rd, which would be nice. So let's move on to some derivatives though.
I will probably steer relatively clear of the top 10 market other than I like one number. Louis Oosthuizen plus 290.
Yeah, that's
he's very good. This course kind of fits him. Field sucks. My only worry with Louis is obviously the WD. He's classic WDer, but I'll probably take her easy on the top 10s this week. It's so hard. You could get 10 guys in the top 10 that you didn't even think about. So I will. I'll ride Louis a little bit. I'd like to play him on the outright market, but I don't like that number, and so I'll take my top 10 shot.
Yeah, there won't be many for me. I hate to say it, but Alex Noren could sneak in there for me. It's such a bad thing to say, but it just fits right now. It really does fit for him. He's been playing pretty well. He ranked really good in my model for his strokes gained, and as far as his ball strikes that he gains on Bermuda. He got 6th at Phoenix, made the cut at Genesis. His approach has been, he's gained for 4 straight weeks. His putter is kind of hit or miss, but he gained 7 strokes at Phoenix, so hopefully maybe he can bring some luck back. I think this is going to be a good new week for him. I think he has some good course history. Let's look this up. Now, he's made 2 of the 4 cuts, but 1 is a 3rd place, so he's been okay. That was because he gained 7 on the green, so you just got to hope and pray that he does that again, or at least just is in the plus. But that, and then what you said, Louis, I agree there. That's just kind of almost like a FOMO bet because you know he's going to be up there and you just don't want to bet the outright.
Yeah. So as far as top 20s, a bunch of those guys we mentioned in like the 40 to 60 range all are about
Vegas
between 190 and like 270, 280 on
Yes.
top 20s. I'll probably pepper a handful of those. I'm talking about Cam Young plus 210, Keith Mitchell plus 210, Seabass plus 220, Wise plus 220. I don't even hate Pereira plus 250. I know everybody's betting him, but he does have the form. I don't mind Danny McCarthy plus 290. There's Higo at plus 320. I'll probably just pepper 4 or 5 guys in that range and call it good for the week, honestly. And then maybe grab a couple of deep bombs just to try to, maybe accidentally hit one of those like super bombs, like Doug Gims 5-1. I don't hate that. Matthias Schwab 490.
What is Mackenzie Hughes?
Mackenzie Hughes is plus 270. So he's kind of in that same range. Gary Woodland plus 320, but I'm not doing that. Aaron Rai plus 360. We've mentioned him a bunch. That's a pretty good number.
I mentioned Hughes because difficult scoring is his best, and he obviously gains on all the surfaces. His putter is kind of his best asset. He's made the cut at the Honda 2 years in a row now. You just got to hope that you hit one of those weeks where his approach play isn't too bad, but you're going to be in the green as far as his performance putting. So I like that. I think some of those values in that 250 to 300 range, like you talked about, I think he can hit some of those this week.
Yeah. A couple of bombs in the top 20 range, and these also kind of go for top 30s and top 40s. Nick Hardy 6-1 has a couple of trends that I like for what we're looking for here. His form is absolute garbage, so don't go look at that. Trey Mullinax 6-1 bomber has kind of a few things that we're looking for, but his form's not great. He did play good at Pebble. Hank Biota, a guy who's like from an irons in type of player, which is what kind of we're looking for here. Austin Smotherman 7-1 popped a little bit at Pebble. He does some things we're looking for. This course is not dissimilar to Pebble in the sense that like it's position off the tee and then just iron play from there. The greens are obviously bigger, but it's harder. That's kind of the thing to think about. It's definitely harder.
Right. Yeah, I like it. I like that kind of off the tee range when you're going for some bombs.
Justin Lauer, 11-1. He popped on Korn Ferry last week. I think he finished like 3rd or 4th. I don't know. I probably will mix in a couple just as like it's good value, and maybe you get lucky because there 100% will be some guy that you could have got at like 10-1 that will finish in the top 20, 100%.
Yeah, Russell Knox will probably be on my list.
Yep.
Things like that we've already talked about. So there's a lot of the same stats we've already mentioned. A lot of these guys that we like for outrights, a lot of guys we're going to like to hit derivatives in the 20s because they got some good value. Yeah,
definitely. One guy that popped in my mouth, I assume he popped in yours as well, is Jason Duffner.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Him, no.
He's a good iron player, or has traditionally been, but he is just like the worst putter on the face of the earth. Like and honestly, if you look at his stats, his putting has come around a little bit, but he popped really high in the model, and his Honda record is good. He's never missed the cut in like 12 starts, 13 starts, a bunch of top 20s. So if you want to take a stab at trying to find the week that Jason Duffner's putter doesn't just absolutely massacre him, maybe this is the week. Trying to find his numbers here.
Like on a 30?
He's a 360 for a top 40. So I think you could do worse than that. He's top 40'd here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in his career. Granted, some of those were when he was actually good at golf. But just another name that popped really high in my model that maybe in the derivative market there's some room for. Neesmith is another guy who I've played a bunch, good approach player, guy who's from the Southeast like that and is used to those types of courses. I don't know. It gets pretty thin in this field in a hurry.
Yeah, I think it's as far as when you're looking at it and people are, pick a couple of things that you like to see, that you think will perform well and kind of base it off those and try to think of a dramatic, like those things happening in a dramatic fashion, right? Like these guys can compete here. So it's not as if they have to do everything right. They just need to do a couple things pretty right, not hit it in the water a few times, and they'll have a chance. Like the field's not going to overpower them. So, if you have a couple guys that you think, hey, he can hit it far, he can ball strike it. If he avoids water, like why not? Like I think that's going to be the basis of a lot of my bets this week, and hopefully we'll hit one of those big winners. That would be great because I need it after last week.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the head-to-heads. There's a couple guys I want to talk about. We're going to talk about one, but I do think the Rickie Fowler fade is in play. Obviously, he's played well at this golf course, but he's just played bad golf for a while now. I just think that if they give you a fair matchup, somebody that you have some decent numbers on, just bet him against Rickie Fowler. He hasn't finished better than 40th since the CJ Cup last year, and before that, he'd had no top 30s. He's had 3 top 30s since last May, basically this time last year. I know his course history is good. I kind of don't give a shit. He's playing really bad, so his putter is horrific lately, so I'll fade him if I can.
My guy is Patrick Reed, and the only matchup they offer is versus Rickie Fowler. So
honestly,
they're putting the bads against the bads.
Yeah, FanDuel I see here does have a Nico Højgaard. I actually think it's pronounced Højgaard.
Okay.
Matchup. Rasmus Højgaard. We mentioned a few times last year. He's like they're both. I think they're twins. I mean, I could be wrong. They're definitely brothers, but I don't know if they're twins. They're super young guys from Europe. They're both awesome. Højgaard has already won like twice this year on Euro Tour. He just won the Razal, whatever that tournament was, like 3 weeks ago. He's really, really talented. Whether or not it transitions to one of the harder courses they're going to play on tour is still to be seen, but maybe he's a big underdog to Fowler. So I don't actually hate that number. I will probably bet it unless they give us like a Rickie Fowler missed the cut bet that maybe I'll just take instead.
Patrick Reed is 125th in my model. I'm using the last 36. His best finish of recent is January. He got 15th of the Century. Besides that, he hasn't done anything worth a shit.
There's fucking 40 players at the Century.
Right. He didn't do shit besides Bermuda. Like everything is in the red. Off the tee is just red all the way until like last July. Besides his Bermuda, guys, because we don't have the off the tee stats, but I'm sure he was plus. It's just really, really not going well for Patrick Reed. I don't care about the difficult course thing. His form is so bad. I don't see a difficult course making him just all of a sudden get that back. Like I don't think it happens this week. And I think the ball striking is too much of a demand this week. I think I would take a lot of matchups against him. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's many out there for us to take.
There's not a lot of matchups out there, period. And they pair most of the top guys who are playing well against other top guys.
I got one as my best bet, but
Harry Higgs is way, way down in my model. Really, really far down there.
Jesus. You weren't been listening.
There's just not a lot of super value. I don't mind Mito over Ryan Palmer. Ryan Palmer has been okay here, but his putter is so bad. I don't mind the stability of Mito's all around game versus him. Chris Kirk is minus 172 against Martin Keimer. Martin Keimer, he like randomly pops, but he mostly sucks. And Chris Kirk is one of the guys that I'm definitely looking at this week on some bets.
I got a
that
question.
Number's horrible.
What about Neiman plus money against Sungjae?
No, it goes against my typical, which did not work last week. By the way, this is not this. I usually bet against winners from the previous week, particularly if they got to fly across country. I bet against Scheffler though last week, and we saw how that turned out.
Yeah.
I actually bet Sungjae against Scheffler last week, so maybe we should hop on the Neiman just absolute heater of a ball striking event. I'm a little worried about him. He grinded his ass off for 2 straight days after he shot a million under. He said it felt like a month the last 2 days. And I don't blame him. I mean, it's so hard to back up a good round, and he did it on Friday. And then he was so far ahead, it was just like, I just can't. Like, if I blow up here, it's going to be so bad. I had to be so difficult. It was probably harder. Saturday and Sunday were probably harder than Thursday and Friday for him, honestly.
What's the chances he gave some of his magic to Mito or Vegas in his little post game? Like,
what about Cam Young? He played with Cam Young for 2 straight days. Maybe Cam Young picked up some stuff.
He said those guys were having dinner together, them and Carlos Ortiz.
Oh yeah, well all the Spanish speakers, they like to live get Airbnbs and stay together. So, so I don't know. Maybe we get some. I saw some people saying maybe Mito gets some. I don't know, a little Hispanic bump. Although they're not. They are both Chilean, but Sergio's from Spain. That's across the freaking world.
I don't think Vegas is. What is he?
He is, I know this, Brazilian maybe?
I was looking up Johnny Vegas, the comedian. Who's that? He was born, he's Venezuelan.
Sorry, Johnny. Same continent, at least.
Let's look at some DraftKings matchups. Do you have any other ones that you like?
Let's see here.
You can do your winner bet and just do Billy Horschel minus 105 against him. That's not bad juice for a guy who I might use in my one and done. That Billy.
It's not awful. I'll agree with that.
Russell Knox with KH Lee even money. I like that, even though I'm going to probably bet KH Lee to win.
Not for me. Knox is just a little scary in a matchup because he's just. You can look at his finishes here, and it's like 4th or miscut.
Aaron Wise over Brian Harman.
That was one that I am going to bet. I am betting Aaron Wise over Brian Harman.
What is
Aaron Wise? Aaron Wise has a lot of stats that are really good for this course, and he played well last year. Brian Harman is fine, but I don't know. Brian Harman will shoot like 6 under and lead the tournament on Thursday, and then shoot like 1 over, 1 over, 1 over, and finish 40th.
He gained over 2 strokes putting here last year.
Who?
Wise.
Well, for Wise, that's like a career week.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why did that happen? Is that going to happen again?
I'm betting it. I'm betting on him for sure. I like him a lot, actually, this week. I think that as a former tour winner, this is a pretty good stop for him. He hits it pretty far, too.
Yeah.
There's a Keith Mitchell as a big underdog to Shane Lowry. I may take it just purely on value. I don't really think Shane Lowry is that much better than Keith Mitchell. But Killer Keith, that's kind of I don't know. I may be a little too high on Keith. He might not be as good as I think he is, but we'll see. That one is something I'm considering playing just because of the number. If you wanted to fade Matt Wolff and his just absolutely who the hell knows where it's going off the tee type of thing, you can get Russell Knox on FanDuel. Wolf could hit like 3 water balls a day at this course if he doesn't like.
He could hit 3 water balls in a row.
Yeah, and then have like a mental breakdown. So, the head-to-head market for me, I'm gonna do a little reevaluation. Last week was pretty ugly. Played some numbers that I thought numbers were good, but maybe I didn't quite put enough value into who I was betting against, like the Scheffler one.
Yeah, I'm going to move on real quick and jump into my best bet, and you can go after me because my best bet is a matchup. I got Buzadenhout over Rickie minus 120.
I saw that one too.
We've already kind of hit on this. We both like Seabez. We both dislike Rickie. So this is a pretty self-explanatory bet. I don't usually bet 129s. I don't really bet anything below 120, especially on matchups. But I think this one is like I'm really confident in this bet hitting. I like it. I honestly wish it was. I wish the course history would have pushed this up a little higher, but it didn't. But that's okay. I'm going to take the Seabez, lay the juice, and play against a guy who's just all he has going for him is history. That's it, and that's never a good thing. That is never ever a good thing.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Rickie sucks. He's like he's still getting he's finally not getting all the respect he was for his former self because he's getting a Seabez matchup as a huge underdog. But
Right.
I think that Seabez is a little more of a safe bet. Now, if Rickie pops, he's definitely probably more talented than Seabez, but I don't know. I that was one I saw also that I definitely liked. So,
what about your best bet?
Okay. It was kind of I was trying to have a hard time deciding between all those top 20 guys we mentioned earlier. But I am going to go with Cameron Young plus 210, top 20. We saw last week he's got serious firepower tee to green. He gained 5 strokes off the tee each of the last 2 weeks. He has 4 straight finishes, 2 top 20s and a 26th and a 40th. Gained 5.9 putting last week. He's really talented. Bermuda is technically his best putting surface. That course was hard last week in theory. I mean, they tore it up, but that's a hard golf course that demands a lot of your iron play. And I think he's going to just keep it rolling. When typically when guys get hot like that, they just stay hot for a little while. And plus 220 on a top 10 or on top 20 is pretty good. I like that a lot, and I like it more than some of the other ones in that range because his form is just so much better.
Yeah, I kind of like that he got a little taste of it at the end too. Like he got a little,
and he didn't just like throw up everywhere.
Right, and it's good, especially with a guy with the talent that he has in the ball striking, that little like hanging swing, right, where he like loads up and rips right through.
Yeah.
I think he'll use it as a little bit of motivation, right? As if he should. He kind of uses it as, hey, I can keep up with these guys when I play well, right? Like when I bring it, I can bring it with him. He could have won that event any other year. That's the crazy part, right? He could have went into Sunday as the guy teeing off as the leader. So I think that was a big confidence booster. I think I'm with you on this bet. I'm going to have it on my card also, and I think the ball striking carries over to a course that demands ball striking. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Yep, he was super good tee to green, and I like that. If he would have like choked all over himself and finished like 15th or something, I wouldn't have been quite as good. But he played very good for shooting a 61 on Friday, and then backing that up with 2 really solid rounds. Still finished second. Legitimate had a chance if he didn't hit that shot in the bunker on 16. I think he would have. Their pressure would have been a bit higher on Neiman, and then of course he chipped in, and it was kind of over. But he was close. It was really close.
He took my matchup and shoved it in my own ass when he hit it into that bunker on 16. We had a chance if he just would have parred it, but he didn't do it. Speaking of margins, let's move over to the specials. I'm going to do 1-stroke and 2-stroke winner this week. I haven't locked in those numbers just yet because I haven't actually shopped them all around, but it should be about the same where it's like 225 and 3-1 or 350. Should be right in that range for 350 for 2 strokes.
Yeah.
So I'm in that. I think that I'm going to flip it, right? I was dead wrong on the event last week, although it kind of came back with the ball striking and the amount that the course demands. I think that this tournament will stay away from a playoff just because of how hard and how difficult it is to keep those scores up at the top.
Yeah, I agree with that definitely. I think the scores. Matt Jones was kind of weird because he went out and shot 61 or whatever he shot on Thursday last year, got way ahead. But I would, typically when the scores are lower, they kind of gets bunched up, particularly with no not a lot of super studs in the field to go out and whoop everybody.
I think the 2 is honestly really in play. That's what I like this week is the 2. I mean, the 1 is kind of a cushion, but I think that 2 could be in play. Hopefully we'll have a guy like Bogey or Burt, like something will happen there at the end going through those last few holes and maybe hit that margin 3.5 to 1, whatever it is. I haven't locked it in yet.
Patrick Reed is plus 150 to miss the cut.
What's Rickie? Is he on there?
He's been terrible. Let's see if Rickie's on here.
I got it pulled up.
Also plus 152 to miss the cut.
Can we parlay these?
No, you cannot. Those are fun bets. Certainly, plus 150 is not a terrible number. As bad as those guys been playing. Granted, the field's a little tough. Top continental Euro player. There's 9 guys. Alex Noren is plus 270, and then Højgaard is plus 470. I like Højgaard plus 470 because the rest of the guys largely suck. Martin Keimer, Stenson, Straka, Schwab, Sabatini, Jaeger, and Barjon. Most of those guys suck. It's basically Noren, Højgaard, Keimer, and in my opinion, Schwab. But plus 470, I kind of like that.
Yeah, some of these 2 and 3 chances to win bets are interesting. I agree. It's hard to pick one, honestly, but sometimes these bets steal your money, but it's okay.
Those are, those will steal your money, definitely.
But
hole in one is plus money. These par threes are hard. Not maybe the week I'd do that, but I always try to look and see if there's some value there. Other than that,
I ain't got much.
It's going to be a little bit lighter week given the crapshoot that this can be. I don't remember. I bet 8 or 9 guys outright, but most of them were bombs, or at least 50 plus to 1. And then I'll mix in a handful of top 20s, but I'll probably take it pretty easy. I don't want to get creamed because of the variance of this tournament.
You're due on one and done. What are your thoughts?
Due? How many tournaments have we? How many weeks have we had?
We've had 1,
6,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
I've made 2 cuts. 2, and I missed the cut with DJ and Finau.
Yeah,
they never miss. Those guys hardly ever miss cuts. For me, it's down to 3 guys. It's Sungjae, it's Horschel, and it's Louis. Horschel scares the piss out of me because I can't get him right. So basically, he's off the limit. I'm basically just going to take Sungjae and just say one of his better courses. And I know everybody in the world is going to pick him that has him left, but I kind of don't care. I have to start making up ground, and I have to do it in a hurry. I've only made 2 cuts. Granted, Xander got me a lot of money the one, so I'm not in dead last. But I looked through there's 115 people in the pool we're in. I've made the least amount of cuts, tied with another couple people, but I've made the least amount of cuts.
That's all right. You got some winners coming.
Yeah.
Sungjae won me $183K at the Amex. Who earns more on Sungjae, me or you?
You, almost certainly. Now he'd have to finish in the top 10 to do that, probably.
Yeah, he can do it. He's a favorite.
He can, but the likelihood is, who knows? Not great.
Shane Lowry is honestly in my running, which is crazy. Billy is. I really don't want to use Billy, but this sucks.
Listen, there's going to be some weird ones this week. People are going to take. There's going to be a shitload of Mito. I promise you that.
Yeah, I already used him.
You used Mito Pereira?
Yeah, at Pebble Beach. He didn't make the cut.
That's
He's my
what you
only
get.
one, though. He's my only one.
Yeah, you've made the cut 5 times, and I've made it twice.
Is Gary Woodland, that's a crazy pick, right?
Go look at Woodland's recent finishes. He's more likely to miss than he is make. I said this earlier, he's an outright play and nothing else.
Louis the safest pick. That's what we're coming down.
Sungjae's the safest, but you don't have him, so Louis, I would say, is the safest pick.
What did Louis finish when he played in that?
He finished well, right?
Go look right now. Oh, Phoenix. He finished 14th at Phoenix.
Yeah.
He gained in everything. God damn. Yeah, he's probably the safest pick.
What about Berger?
I don't know. We got to figure that out. What are we doing? We saying the back is fine completely?
He took a week off. Well, he took even more than a week off because he missed the cut at. He got the weekend plus a week plus. He's been good here. The course makes a shitload of sense for him. There's a reason he's 15-1, but I won't be playing him.
We can still play him though. There's some tournaments left we can play him at.
I agree, 100%.
Perform a little better before.
I was gonna say I'd like to catch him when he's rolling versus when he's coming off a missed cut and a back injury.
Yeah, he'll probably get 3rd this week, so that's great.
Yeah, but Sungjae's playing decent.
The crazy pick is Brooks. The crazy pick is Brooks. I think.
I actually think. What do you think his ownership percentage will be?
Oh, it's gonna be high.
Yeah, I figure. I think Sung Jae will be the highest, and then Brooks, Berger, and Louis will be by the next three for sure.
Lee Westwood will probably be picked, which is kind of crazy, like that kind of stuff. Keith Mitchell.
We'll definitely see some Keith Mitchell.
Yeah.
This is maybe one of those weeks where you just take a shot and you're like, all right, I'm going to try to nail this guy to win. But you go down and you grab Aaron Wise.
That guy's might be like 3 over in day one.
3 over makes the cut here usually.
Not if you do it twice.
Not if you do it twice.
Yeah.
Now
Wolf, maybe. Do you believe in Wolf at all?
No. I already took Wolf too. Imagine that. I took him at the Amex.
Yeah, so I think Louis is the safe pick, but I'm not locked in yet. We'll see what I decide tonight.
It'll likely be Sung Jae for me. I gotta win. I gotta make the cut. Make some cuts and win some money. So yeah, Sung Jae for sure.
What do we got next week? We got Bay Hill and the Players.
Yeah, 2 good tournaments. Bay Hill should be a little bit better attended. That's kind of a warm up. Most guys taking a week off.
Is Bryson going to play?
I don't know. He should have. He's the defending champ, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he will play. I do think he'll play next week.
Lee Westwood comeback moment last year. Remember this?
Both of those tournaments were. Yeah. Bryson and Lee Westwood battling out, but then your guy here hit JT at the Players. So, I hope they drop it. If JT, I think there are some Players bets. Let's take 2 seconds. I think the Players. There's some Players odds out there.
On Rivers or where?
On DraftKings, I think. Yes. That's not a good number, but
where's it at?
JT last year I hit it like 22, I think. If you can find him at 20, definitely take him. I actually don't.
20. God damn. Patrick Cantlay 20?
Not horrible considering how good he's playing. I don't know what his
Spieth 28.
That course is I don't know. Maybe that could be a Spieth course.
Brooks is 35. Brooks, they keep hanging these 30s on Brooks.
Yeah, well, they know Brooks. That is the tournament Brooks should care about, but I don't know.
Louis at 40.
I did want to mention this while we're talking about futures. I bet Cantlay. There's a few numbers out there that are kind of silly. There was a 33-1 on him to win the Open at Bet Rivers, I think. Cantlay's played so good, and he's like, I hate saying he's due to win a major, but he's like one of the best players on tour that doesn't have a major. And he's proven that he can close tournaments over the last couple of years. 33-1 is a really, really good number. There's no chance if he's playing good that he'll be less than like 25. So I took that, and then I got him 28 at the PGA on DraftKings. He's 20. He was like 18-1 in amazing field last week. It's like, why will he not be that when a major rolls around? Those are both good numbers. So if you can find those, I would bet them.
Yeah, bet some of these events or bet some of these numbers before the big events. Did you see what? Look at all the Neiman's numbers. Neiman's numbers have been way down after that. So like. If guys perform well in these big events, the book will see action on them, and those numbers will change. So I think a guy like Cantlay that's a good one for him.
He's down to 20 at the PGA on DraftKings, I think.
These numbers at the top are a little crazy. I mean, Morikawa at 16, like that's kind of like, I don't know, I'm not betting that. But
2-time major champ.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got the same amount of majors as DJ. More than JT, more than Rahm.
Players.
Do what?
Sung Jae 40 at the Players. I don't like that.
I don't hate it either.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's get some winners.
Yep. That's it. We'll be back for Bay Hill. I hope it's a better week and our recap is a little more fun next week. But we'll see you then.
See ya.